Daddy, are you a scab?
Am I a what?
Are you a scab?
Why would you ask me that?
Because you're writing, aren't you?
Yes.
But the writers are on strike.
Okay. Now I get it. Sorry, champ, it just took your old dad a minute to figure out what the hell you were talking about. Yes, I am writing, but...
You're always saying how solidarity with the working class is very important.
I don't know if I'm always saying that. Anyway, solidarity with the working class is very important. But I'm not on strike because I'm not a member of the Writers Guild.
That's being a scab!
You little rascal. No, it's not being a scab because I don't actually work in the industry covered by the Writers Guild. See, the people on strike are professional screenwriters who get hired by studios to work on movies and TV shows. I write YouTube videos about Star Trek and old comic books and live on viewer sponsorships, ad revenue, and forlorn prayers to a god I don't even believe in. We're not the same.
Why is there a writer's strike?
Don't you think you should apologize for calling me a scab?
Yeah, why is there a writer's strike?
Well, it's basically the same reason why there's any kind of strike. The bosses aren't giving the workers fair compensation.
Why not?
Because there's a lot of money on the table, and the studios want to keep as much of it for themselves as they can. And they're using the fact that the TV and movie industry is in kind of a transitional period at the moment, with more and more people watching stuff via streaming services as opposed to longer established outlets such as broadcast and cable TV and movie theaters, to try and poor-mouth the writers and argue that the writers' demands are unreasonable because the studios just couldn't afford it.
But that's not true?
No, kiddo, it's bullshit. It's always bullshit. The TV and movie business is more profitable now than it's ever been. The industry is changing, but it's not dying. And cutting the writers in for a bigger share isn't going to kill it any more than giving players a bigger cut of the revenue is killing baseball.
Well, what is killing baseball?
People from your generation watching basketball highlights on TikTok instead of giving your attention to our glorious national pastime.
When was the last time you watched a baseball game?
Look, we're not talking about me. Besides, I'm only one person. How could I possibly make a difference? Anyway, I'm glad we talked about this. I like our little chats. I hope I answered all your questions.
No.
Okay. What else can I tell you, buddy?
What do the writers want?
They want to raise minimum pay for writers. They want to increase residuals. That's the money they get paid whenever a show they wrote gets rebroadcast after the initial broadcast.
I know what residuals are. You don't have to talk down to me.
They also want to create a new kind of residual for streaming shows that pays based on how many times a show is watched. Apparently, that's one of the major sticking points in the negotiations, because not only would it cost the studios more money, it would also require them to be transparent about how often shows on streaming services are being watched, which would mean they couldn't lie about how popular their shows are.
They lie about how popular their shows are?
They're studio executives, buddy. They'd lie about what they had for breakfast if they thought it would put one more nickel in their pocket.
So the writers want more money, and they want to make the studios be more honest?
Well, mainly they want more money. It's just that in order to get some of the money they want, they'll have to make the studios be more honest. It's more of a side effect.
Okay. And if the studios give the writers a raise and make the new residual where they have to be honest about how much people watch the shows, the strike will be over.
Basically. I mean, there are some more specific disagreements they'd need to get past, like how to treat mini rooms.
What's a mini room?
I don't know. I'd hate to talk down to you.
Just answer the question.
So, scripted TV shows have writers' rooms. with anywhere from a half dozen to a couple dozen writers, and those are the people who write scripts for the show. A mini room is a writer's room that only has maybe 3 writers who get hired usually when a TV show is first being developed, but hasn't yet been greenlit to go into production. And they write scripts that the studio or the network or whoever reads to decide whether or not they want to actually make the show. If the show doesn't get picked up, those writers in the mini room are out of a job. And a lot of times, even if the show does get picked up, they're still out of a job because once the show goes into full production, it'll get a full team of writers, and the writers from the mini room don't get hired for that.
Why not?
Maybe because they weren't considered a good fit with the other writers that were hired for the team. Maybe because Hollywood is a soulless content factory whose gears are oiled with human blood. Whatever the reason, the issue is not only are mini rooms usually temporary jobs, they also aren't paid the same as a typical writer's room. So the Writers Guild is asking that writers hired for mini rooms be guaranteed a certain minimum number of weeks' work, that mini rooms be required to have a minimum number of writers, and that pay for writers in mini rooms be brought up so that it's more in line with what writers make on a show that's in production.
So, if the studios agree to that and to the stuff about paying the writers more and giving them more residuals and being honest about how many people watch their streaming shows, then the strike will be over?
Possibly. The Writers Guild also wants to regulate the use of AI so that it can't be used to write scripts and so that writing covered by the Writers Guild's collective bargaining agreement with the studios can't be used to train AI.
Why is that so important?
Because they don't want there to be a situation where a writer comes into work, they give him a watch, kick him in the butt, and say, "Hey, a computer took your place, daddy. That's hard times." Exactly.
Are wrestlers going on strike too?
No, you sweet summer child. Wrestlers don't even have a union.
Why not?
Because pro wrestling is even bleaker and more exploitative than the rest of the entertainment industry.
That's sad.
Sure is, son. It sure is. Oh, that reminds me. I want to DVR Raw tonight.
Daddy.
Yeah, champ?
So, if the studios pay the writers more and treat the writers hired to be in mini rooms better and give them more residuals and start saying how many people watch the streaming shows and promise not to use AI for stuff, then the strike will be over?
I mean, I don't know. But yeah, probably.
So the strike will be over soon?
Protect that innocence as long as possible, kid.